Hey everyone, it's Dr. Hayes, and in today's video I'm going to be talking about everything I read in November. But before we start, I don't usually sound like this. I have had, I don't know if it's a cold, the flu, some other kind of virus, I don't know, since like last Wednesday. I've just been feeling terrible. So I filmed last Wednesday's video on Tuesday, got it all edited, got it all sorted, went to work on Wednesday, work went really well. By the end of the day I was like, my throat kind of hurts. Hoping I'd feel better in the morning. Felt worse. So I've been ill for like the past 4 days, I'd say. Kind of felt okay yesterday. I am feeling much better. So I am literally just waiting for my voice to come back. I've got a bit of a dry throat still from whatever it was that I had. I don't know. But anyway, we're going to be discussing all of the books I read in November, which I believe I read 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 books in November. Although this one, I'm not sure I can count it as a full book because I read it in like half an hour because of the kind of book it is. I was meant to finish another book, but I felt so ill I just could not concentrate to read. So, didn't happen. Although, so at the minute I am reading The Bands of Mourning by Brandon Sanderson, which is the penultimate Mistborn book, or at the minute the penultimate Mistborn book, because I do believe he's meant to be planning like another arc of it, another series of it. I'm not sure what the right word to describe Mistborn is. And I also started reading yesterday, today is the second I'm filming this, but A Heart for Christmas, which is the advent calendar book I got. So very excited to read the next chapter today. So let's just get into what I read this month. And the first book I want to talk about, I'm not actually going to tell you what I rated it because I don't think that's fair of me. So just let me explain. So this is The Last Assassin by Peter Stothard, I think, or Stothard. I'm not entirely, I don't know how to pronounce anything. Especially people's last names. I have real trouble with people's last names, unless it's the most basic thing ever, like Smith or Adams. I won't know. But anyway, this is a non-fiction book about basically Julius Caesar's assassins, specifically the last assassin who basically managed to flee and spent quite a while like on the run before he was eventually found. Now, I didn't like this book. And the reason I didn't like it, well, I say didn't like, well, I didn't like it, but also at the same time, I don't think it was bad. I just think it wasn't for me. Because for me, personally, when I read non-fiction, I'm always going into non-fiction to learn. When I read fiction, I'm often looking to learn a bit, but like 80% of it, I'm looking to have a fun time, or at least an interesting time, because not all books are fun. I'm looking to be entertained in some way. Whereas with non-fiction, I'm looking to learn, because I often read non-fiction about things that I personally don't know much about. And the Roman Empire, bar from what I did, I think, like in school, I don't know a great deal about. So I was like, this sounds really intriguing. However, I just feel that this book goes in and assumes you already know a lot. And I really don't know anything other than Julius Caesar was assassinated. That's pretty much all I know. I don't even know why he was assassinated, I just know he was. Okay? I know almost nothing about the topic. So I think this book would be great for you if you were already very interested in that period of history and you're very interested in Julius Caesar. So that's why I'm not going to give it a star rating, because I just don't think that's fair of me. Because it's not a bad book, it's just not for me, because I was so confused throughout all of it. Because I was like, I feel you already need a certain level of knowledge before you go into this book that I just do not possess. So I was like, I did give it a star rating, but I'm not going to tell you because I just don't think that's, I really don't think that's fair of me. So perhaps you may like this, but the book sadly was not for me. The next book I read, which I really liked, and honestly I think we might be going back and forth, I got quite a few books this month that I liked and quite a few I didn't like, so we might be going back and forth between them. But this one I really enjoyed. This is The House Saphir, sorry it's kind of shiny, by Marissa, Meyer or Meyer, who knows, which I gave 4 stars. And it looks absolutely amazing. It has these stairs of blood on, which are also on the front cover. Stunning book, really, really enjoyed it. So this is basically, it's a fantasy novel, but it's definitely, I'm not sure if the phrase is correct, like light fantasy. It's not super duper in-depth fantasy with like a massive world. It's very, very easy to understand what's going on. Basically the main character, Mallory, she's pretending to be a witch in order to earn money. She's basically scamming people, and she does fake ghost tours of this mansion of I guess like a large family, and the head of this family used to be Bluebeard. So it's like a retelling of the tale of Bluebeard, who, if you didn't know, killed his wives. That's basically what the whole tale is about. However, attending the tour at the start of the book is the new heir to this family, and at their family estate out in the countryside, the ghost of Bluebeard is haunting them. So he's like, hey, you're a witch, could you come and help me? And she says yes, because it's a lot of money and they need the money. However, she's not actually a witch, she's scamming him. So it was really interesting to see the kinds of things they did, and I did enjoy the love story. However, I definitely feel like the romance could have been a lot better. At times, I wasn't even sure they were going to get together because of the chemistry they didn't seem to possess. Like, they don't talk a great deal, in my opinion, for a romantic relationship to eventually be established. Like, the moments they did have were so cute, but I was like, I just felt like some of it was missing. But I did still really enjoy it. If you're looking for a quick fantasy read, then this one's for you. And then sticking with Marissa Meyer, I finally got around to reading the third Lunar Chronicles book. This is Cress, and she's kind of like Rapunzel on the front, if you don't know what this series is. So the first one is Cinder, the second one is Scarlet. Is that all of them are basically like fairy tales retold, or they have fairy tale elements in them. So the first one's Cinder, it's obviously Cinderella, second one's Scarlet, Red Riding Hood, Cress is Rapunzel. Except Rapunzel isn't stuck in a tower, she's actually stuck on a satellite, which is really cool. So I'm not sure I can say too much about this book without spoiling the whole series, but I gave it 5 stars. So enjoyable. One thing I love about Marissa Meyer, from everything I've read of hers, is how easy her writing is to read and digest. It's just, I always have such a fun time. I never have to worry like, am I going to understand this or anything? Am I going to have to reread certain bits because her writing wasn't clear? Never have an issue with her writing. It's always an absolute pleasure to read. And the story was amazing. Oh my gosh. Again, not sure how much I can say, but I am so excited for winter. The scene on the end on the ship between Cinder and a person whose name I can't say because that will spoil the ending. Amazing. Loved it. I'm starting winter in probably a week or two, the last one. I am so excited. I can't wait. So good. If you haven't read Cinder yet, if you haven't read the Lunar Chronicles yet, what are you doing? Science fiction and retold fairy tales. Hello. Amazing. However, despite how much I loved those 2 books, we're back to one I didn't like very much, and this is The Moonlight Market by Joanne Harris, which I gave 1.5 stars. I really did not enjoy this, and part of me is like, this book wasn't for me, but I also don't think it was great as well. So the reason why I don't think the book was for me is because personally I don't enjoy when there is fantasy in the modern world. I don't like it when there is that crossover. When I read fantasy, I like to be fully immersed in a completely different world. I don't like it when the fantasy backdrop is here and then only some people have magic and stuff. I don't really like it. I think the only time I ever have liked it is with Harry Potter, and I think I can get past that is because like the books, like 95% of them take place at Hogwarts. Like for like most of each of the books, they're away. They're not in the modern world, they're away somewhere else full of magic, so I can immerse myself. And it just starts and often ends back in the Muggle world without magic. So I can kind of get past that, but this for me just didn't work. However, at the same time, as much as I know that the setting wasn't for me, like the world, I also think the writing was just absolutely bizarre. When I say the writing, I mean the plot and the characters. I was like, what? I like the premise. So basically, it has these, and I really like books that do this, where it has like a little fairy tale threaded through, and like at the start of each section it would have like a section in italics, and it would tell you a bit more of the story, like the background behind it. So there was a butterfly queen and a moth king, and the butterfly queen loved the light and the moth king loved the dark, but they ended up falling in love together and they had a child together. However, the child gets lost in like time and space, and they basically get divorced and go to war whilst they want to try and find him. But there was all these like different things, like, oh yeah, like our child has been split up into loads of different parts, and now he's this person but also this person and this person, and in the end it was kind of like self-incest, and I was like, or self-cest I think is the phrase, and I was just like, right. Okay. It was just really bizarre. So if you like that sort of thing, perhaps you will. If you don't mind a bit of strange butterfly moth self-cest and magic but also modern life, then go for it. But not for me. The next one I want to talk about, and I'm not sure if I can count this as a proper book, but I'll explain in a minute, is Always Remember The Boy, the Mole, the Fox, the Horse and the Storm by Charlie Mackesy. And, right, okay, it's 5 stars. Loved it. Really cute. However, the reason why I'm not sure we can class it is because all the pages are like this. It's not like a novel. It's... I'm not really sure how to describe the book. Honestly, to me, this is like a gift book. I would give this someone as a gift. I think it's really nice, it's really sweet. I think the drawings are absolutely gorgeous. Like, this is the opening on like the, whatever these, the fancy name for these pages are. It's got a ribbon holder thing. Like, to me, this is more of like a gift book. I think it's so special, it's so pretty, you know, like I mean. So I'm not really sure I'd call this, like, I wouldn't class it as a proper novel. Because whilst there is kind of a story going on, basically, the boy, the mole, the fox and the horse, who are kind of friends. There's a one before this one. They basically come together and one of them gets lost in the storm and they kind of work together to get back to each other. It's very sweet, but like, that's it. So I obviously can't review it in the same vein as I would like the other books I've had, because it's just not the same, so it wouldn't be fair on this book. But if you like stuff like this, I think you'll really enjoy it. If you enjoy a really good quote, like, I think you'll enjoy it. Like, I love reading quotes and stuff to like motivate myself and feel better about myself. So for example, sometimes I feel I haven't achieved much, said the boy. You are here and you have come this far, which is a spectacular thing. Stuff like that. Like, I hope you know how brave you've been. It takes courage to love. We often hear of the hatred while rivers of love and courage pass by unnoticed. So, like I said, that's the kind of vein this book is in. It's not a novel, but I still did really enjoy it. And if you're looking for like a little gift for Christmas and you know someone who would like something like that, who enjoys things like that, then I think they will really love this. It's really good quality. All of this paper inside, it's almost like card. It's really, really nice quality. So, not a novel per se. I read it in like less than half an hour. But it is really, really good. And the next book I want to talk about, I don't know if people are going to hate me for this. This is Out of Africa by Blixen. I only gave it, I think, like 1 star. I didn't like it. Right. I haven't seen the film just because when I told my mum I was reading it, she was like, oh my god, you'll love it. The film, amazing, amazing. I've never seen the film. I'll probably watch it one day. I was like, I'll read the book. Everyone likes the film. I like the theme tune to the film. I know the theme tune, though I haven't seen it. Let's give it a read. No. Right. My first issue with this book is the main character. Because first of all, I didn't realise she was even female. Which is fine, that's not a problem. But I was like, oh, okay. I was a bit confused by it because no one ever calls her by her name. She doesn't really seem to have that many personal relationships. So it was really difficult to get a grasp of her as a person, including just like who she was, like what even her pronouns were. I was like, who are you? I don't know. And then at one point, quite late into the novel, she mentioned she has a husband, and I was like, oh, I didn't realise you were married. And again, perhaps that's just holes in my knowledge about Africa, because I feel like it's a well-known fact, but I've never seen the film. And I think she does have a husband in the film, and it is based on a true story as well. I just didn't know. But I was so confused. Like, when it eventually gets revealed, like about page 60, that the main character's female, I was like, oh, all this time I thought you were male. I thought you were Dennis, who is mentioned on the back. I was like, okay, no. So I spent a lot of the book kind of being confused, because all you find out is that the main character has a coffee farm at the start somewhere in Africa, and I was like, okay, cool. However, I just did not find myself enjoying it. Pretty much the reason it got 1 star is for the descriptions of the setting. The setting was described absolutely beautifully, sounded absolutely amazing, but just for the things happening in the novel, I was like, I know it's based on real events, but I was still a bit like, it just wasn't compelling to me in any way. It wasn't really interesting. I was just confused by a lot of it. So for example, the main character and Dennis, who I'm not sure if she was ever in love with or just had a really great friendship with, they go out driving on the reserve and they see a dead giraffe. Now the giraffe has clearly been shot, it has bullet holes in it, and they don't find out who shot this giraffe. But either way, the giraffe is dead. And a lioness is eating the carcass, or starting to eat the carcass, because someone has shot this giraffe. The lioness has not killed the giraffe, okay? Someone else did it. They can see the gun holes. And Dennis is like, can I shoot the lioness? And she's like, go for it. Why? I'm sorry, it sounded really weird in my current state of my voice. But I was just like, why? What was... And I thought the idea of the reserves, because I recently read The Elephant Whisperer by Lawrence Anthony, is that you were supposed to protect the animals on them, not go around shooting them. Yeah, like I said, yeah. Perhaps it just wasn't for me. Like I said, I haven't had the best month with books, which brings me on to my next one, which got 0.5 stars. This is The Diary of a County Prosecutor by Tawfiq al-Hakim, which I hope I'm pronouncing correctly. So I got this when I was at Daunt Books from the Egypt section, and the reason I decided to purchase this was because I asked my best friend if he had any recommendations for any books, and he is Egyptian. I was like, I wanted to read a book from a country my best friend is from, since I've never read anything from an Egyptian author prior to this book. And he said, I don't really read in English or in Arabic, so pick whatever you think might be good. So I picked this, and I didn't like it. Basically, the way the blurb talks about this, the blurb sounds very interesting, but just does not translate to the book, is that this Egyptian man, he is born and raised in Egypt, but then he is taken to somewhere in Europe, I think Paris, but doesn't really get into it very much, to have his legal training. Then he moves back to Egypt and he practices in like the bigger cities like Cairo and Alexandria, but then he is eventually posted in smaller Egyptian towns further south in the country, where basically they do still have the law in place, but no one really kind of adheres to it the same way people in the bigger cities do, which again is different from the law he was learning back in his education in Europe. So the blurb talks about how he struggles to marry together like what he knows should be done in accordance with the law, as well as the cultural factors affecting people in these small Egyptian towns, which sounded really, really intriguing. However, the book really just does not get into that. At no point. It was just, no, and I'm going to spoil this book for you because I don't think you should read it, because it was bad. Basically, the plot of the book is that a man is murdered and the prime suspect is his sister-in-law. So he had a wife, and after his wife had a baby, his wife died. So now his wife's sister, so this man's sister-in-law, is helping him to raise the child. Cool. However, he is now wound up dead, and she is the prime suspect. She was the best character. She is the reason. It got 0.5 stars. However, she eventually winds up dead as well. She drowns. It's unclear whether someone drowned her or she did it herself. They're not sure by the end of the book. It's a very quick book. However, the county prosecutor, who seems to be doing most of the investigating, not the police. I'm not sure how this works in Egypt, and this is also set a while ago, so I don't know if that's very helpful. But by the end of the book, the county prosecutor, the main character, is like, well, she's dead now. Not really sure if it was her. I was kind of also slightly in love with her, so still really not sure. But yeah, I don't know who did this. So he ends the book signing the case off to someone else. So it's one of the most unsatisfying things ever. So not only do you not find out who did it, he doesn't even care who did it. So I was just like, right. So the way the blurb made it seem as if it was going to be a book that explored like his struggle between doing what like the law says is correct while also juggling the culture of the country is from and what law is like there. Like, for example, there was a section where this woman died in childbirth because she was wet inside, and the midwife was like, well, she was wet inside, so I stuffed her with straw, because that's like the cultural thing to do at the time, and the woman ends up dying. And this lady, as a result, gets fired from being a midwife because of it. But it's just, I don't know, the blurb just seemed so disconnected from what actually happens in the book, so yeah, didn't really enjoy it, sadly. And the final book I want to talk about that I read this month is Shadows of Self by Brandon Sanderson, which I gave 4 stars. This is the 6th Mistborn book? No. 5th. It's messing with my head. This is the 5th one. So there's a trilogy, then it's the Alloy of Law, then it is this one, Shadows of Self, then it's this one with my bookmark in, The Bands of Mourning, which I'm currently reading. I'm like 150 pages in. Okay, there we go. God, my brain, I was like, forgotten how to count. I'm still not entirely lucid. Whatever this illness is has completely taken it out of me. Anyway, really enjoyed this one. So far out of like the new arc of Mistborn, I think this one has been my favourite. Really liked it. The ending. Amazing. Loved the ending. Really enjoyed it. And one of the reasons I liked this the most is, first of all, the ending, amazing. Also, the Kandra characters were back. The Kandra are in the original Mistborn, so that was really interesting. I was really glad when like mentions of the other characters or species from the other the first series are brought in to this one. And also Harmony is in it, the Hero of Ages. I won't spoil for you who the Hero of Ages is in case you haven't read it, because it's a big mystery in the books, although I did work it out immediately upon the first line opening of the Hero of Ages. I thought it was pretty obvious who was talking. Harmony is in it, so I was really glad to have them back. Really, really enjoyed them as a character. There's also some other stuff going on with other characters being mentioned from the past, and also getting to visit the like the Field of Ascension site and stuff like that was really, really cool. I wish they'd gone to it in the Alley of Law, since for me, like, it's really important, but obviously Brando Sando didn't think so. I will say, so far as a series, I'm nowhere near enjoying it as much as I did the original trilogy, the original Mistborn trilogy. Absolutely amazing. The first one I gave 4.5 stars to, the second two were solid 5 stars, and the second book, The Well of Ascension, is one of my favourite books of all time. I love that book so, so, so much. But yeah, I'm definitely not enjoying the series as much, but I am still. I guess because in my head I keep comparing it to the previous trilogy. I'm like, yeah, it's good, but not as good. You know, if the other Mistborn series didn't exist, perhaps I wouldn't feel that way, you know what I mean? Because I don't have anything to compare it to, but fortunately I do, so here we are. But anyway, that's everything I read. I read in November. I was meant to finish The Bands of Mourning, but I felt so horrifically ill. I love reading, however, when I'm ill, I honestly don't like to do anything. I don't even binge watch stuff. I just like to go to sleep and hope I feel better when I wake up. That's my approach to feeling ill, like, just knock me out and I will feel better when I finally come round. Didn't work this time. Usually works when I have period pain. Did not work for whatever this thing is. Hopefully I will feel better though by the time I sit down to film the next video. But anyway, I'd love to know what you read in November, and I'd love to know what you thought of what I read in November. I will see you in the next one. Bye!